there's nothing new about politicians muttering nasty things about reporters. Think of George W. Bush being caught on open mic, calling one scribe a major league you-know-what. But this time around, it's different, with Donald Trump openly calling journalists scumbags and sleazeballs. And now the Anti-Defamation League is accusing some Trump followers of taking the name-calling to a very dark low. We all know Donald Trump's view of the media.
You know my opinion of the media. It's very low.
And many of Trump's ardent supporters agree, which is why the Donald gets so much mileage tossing around the insults.
A big portion of them, especially the political press, they're the most dishonest people. They're bad people.
But the Anti-Defamation League now says some Trump supporters are taking the anti-press rhetoric to a vile low, with anti-Semitic tweets like these, directed at hundreds of reporters, like Fox News commentator Julie Roginski and GQ writer Julie Ioffe.
Is that not the definition of racism?
Also getting abhorrent blowback, CNN's Jake Tapper for daring to challenge Trump after he criticized a federal judge because of his Mexican heritage. But the journalist who has gotten the worst of it is former Breitbart reporter Ben Shapiro.
Breitbart has unfortunately become a Trump Pravda site.
Shapiro left Breitbart for failing to support his colleague and girlfriend Michelle Fields after she was grabbed by a Trump staffer. Shapiro also dared to criticize the campaign.
I mean, as you probably know, I think Donald Trump's a turd tornado.
The ADL fears these tweets could encourage anti-Semitism as routine discourse. Then again, nothing about this election has been routine. Yeah, I'm not sure that this is going to end up being back in the normal course of discourse. That's what the ADL is fearful of. I mean, we've never seen anything of this nature. With even at the Alfred Smith dinner last night, the name calling, the low, the degradation. It's totally out of control. I mean, to their credit, I haven't seen a single one of these reporters complain about it. They've acknowledged they've gotten them, and they've asked other people if they've gotten these tweets too. And they have gone, by the way, to other than Jewish journalists, but the most of these tweets went to 10 journalists. 83% of the tweets went to 10 journalists, all of Jewish heritage, and all of whom had some connection. The people had some connection with Trump. Although ADL is also quick to point out that it's not being fed by the Trump campaign.
No, it's not being fed directly by the Trump campaign, certainly. And although our lack of civility may be reaching new lows, I really do think that Twitter is special. And the ADL report brought that out. It's much worse than Facebook, from what I can tell. I wonder why Disney didn't want to buy it. Yeah. Actually, there have been reports that one of the things that turned Disney away from Twitter was the lack of civility, and they said, we don't know what to do about it, so, let's not go there. The good news, if there is any good news here, is that there's like 150 million active Twitter users every month, and the vast majority of these anti-Semitic tweets came from 1,600 accounts. So it suggests it is, but it suggests that there's a way to clean it up. Yeah. That we could sweep the stables if we could figure out how to do it.
Well, here's one way. I mean, one thing Facebook has over Twitter is that Facebook requires people to use their real identities, and that makes a huge difference. With Twitter, you really can hide behind an avatar and a pen name, and if one account gets closed, you can just create a whole new one. And I think having that responsibility to put your face, or at least your name, behind your words makes a huge difference, same way it does in comment sections and publications.
That's and we should point out, too, that on some of these accounts, Twitter did shut them down. Yeah. So, they are sort of watching over this. I really wasn't shocked when I saw that. I mean, reporters are called names all the time, and it is disturbing the lows that we're seeing now. But I've been called some things that we could not repeat on this set today for much of my career, right? So I think people have a medium by which much of this can be heard now by a wider audience, where before someone would shout something to you or send you a letter or leave a voicemail. But this is the tone out there. People feel like they can just yell at reporters and call them whatever, and we get very little sympathy.
Well, I think it's true that this is not primarily driven by direct actions by the Trump campaign. I think we definitely don't want to let them be off the hook on this. I mean, even in the last week or so, you've seen Donald Trump shift in a lot of his campaign rhetoric to Hillary conspiring with international bankers. A lot of the rhetoric that has been used throughout the entire campaign has been about bringing what were previously unacceptable points of view and sort of shifting the window to allow extreme anti-Muslim, extreme anti-immigrant, extremely racist points of view become part of the normal discussion. And white supremacist groups and anti-Semitic groups have been thrilled about this because they see Trump as a normalizing force.
Yes. So it's also lifted tweets directly from anti-Semitic web pages and white supremacist web pages.
Absolutely. And so in some ways, the media is always going to take some hits. That I feel terrible for the journalists that are specifically targeted and lots of other Jewish journalists who've been targeted. But this is less of a media story and more of the fact that anti-Semitism has become normalized for some not insignificant section of the public, and that's frightening.